bolted climbs in Waterton. Specifically, I think I'll just stick this one just to the hump because so many people ask about it. There aren't that many fully bolted routes in the park. You've basically got Buchanan Gardens, which almost nobody goes up to. I think there's just two there. And then there's one over on the left side, lower left side of Expert's Choice. And I think that's about, oh, and then down by the Wishbone, a couple climbs there were retro bolted. So those are now fully bolt protected. Other than that, there's not much. There is, I think, five climbs on the hump that are fully bolted, plus the slabs on Crandall slabs, and then Morgan Fine's route Labor of Love and the variety of lower pitches to those things. So that's about it. So if you're looking for fully bolted routes in the park, don't think sport climbing. You're probably thinking more just bolt protected routes. So let me just go over the Bears Hump routes for people, and then you can find your way in other videos to these other areas. Here's the main topo of the hump. The main areas for bolted climbs are right down here in these yellow ones. So this is the Mother's Day area, and that's actually super nice. The climb's pretty easy. They're sort of 5'4", 5'5", whatever the guidebook says on those ones. But they're nice juggy routes. I mean, you can augment them with a piece or two of gear, but you really don't need to. So those are just gorgeous climbs. Burly Bear over here, this right-hand one. The second pitch is definitely stout. It's like a 10B or so. So there's bolts down at the bottom as you're going through that underclean crux. After that sort of double ring bolt anchor that's here, just step right. And then after the crux, as things kick back, there's a lot of gear placements all the way up to the top. But these two climbs are just fabulous. Bolted climbs. You're going to feel nice and safe. They feel pretty steep. Let me see if I can pop up some pictures of those ones. No guarantee these pictures are going to be a nice one. So here's Mother's Day. There's leading it up. Rock looks really crappy from here, but it's actually this nice dark stained rock, so it's not the crappy diorite that you normally get. And then it's the white molar tooth, so you do go through a bit of a band of each, but it's surprisingly solid aside from the first 8 feet, and even that's not bad. So there the anchors are right by this tree just to the right. You get up top here on these roots, and this left root is bolted on lead. I think that top bolt's a little bit high. You do have to watch out for knocking rocks down. So if you're with kids, you better send them under the overhang that's just here to the right. They can sort of hide out there. You probably need to dig some rocks out of there to make it a nice soft spot. But these two roots side by side are really, really nice. I think the bottom around that first pitch of Burly Bear takes a piece of gear through one of these cracks. And then we put up one other root that's bolted right here. So there's Dirty Stakes off to this left side. Not a good climb. That was an epic first ascent, laying off this 2-inch sapling while doing this sort of overhanging crap up here with no gear. So that's best forgotten. But right here, I think we started to put some bolts up, so there's another climb to the left here. This may even be it, I can't remember. And then it cuts right through here to get to this ledge, and probably need to put a pitch that goes up through these blocks here. That's bolt protected instead of the old ascent that we did on no gear up there back in the day. So this is the nice area. Let me see if there's any other pictures there. That's about it for Mother's Day. To the right of Mother's Day along here, so these are the ones you get to first. There's Fuzzy Was a Fracker and Sourpuss. So those are two 5.7s, 5.8s. The rock's a bit broken down at the bottom. I think the left-hand route still has one big block, sort of like desk-size block that should come off. But the superintendent got mad at me when I was cleaning routes there on I think Memorial Day weekend, and sent a couple park wardens out to come check up on me. And so they're bolt, that big loose block is still there. But those ones are bolt protected with a couple pieces of gear to augment them. They get up to this cave area right there. And there's I think the anchors stop just below because this was such a pack rat mess up in there. But there is another set of anchors up top that you can use to protect that traverse. So that's a nice area. And then down to the lower right, so here's the left corner or cave crack, and then there's leaning column. So right down below there, here's the picture of it. There's Mother's Day and right here in Burly Bear. Oh no, Mother's Day is that pink one, Burly Bear is that red one. And then this was Fuzzy Was a Fracker, that 5.7 that goes up to there. Really nice. And then down this ledge right here, there's a sort of 3-bolt, really short, easy route, mainly set up to teach people how to do multi-pitches because it ends where you have to put a piece of gear in, a perfect crack, and then there's actually a bolt up higher you can clip as a backup, and then you can do a second pitch climb up there on gear. Or I think straight up there is the what mean solution. I think that's got like one nut at about 2/3 of the height. And then around the corner to the right, there's a really nice one through that diorite that's all bolted. So if you don't have any gear, do that bolted one and then do the Mother's Day in the bottom of Burly Bear. The other spot you can get to, there you can see him from a different angle. There's the Fuzzy Was a Fracker and Sourpuss, and then there's the a bolted route right here, entirely bolted, and then this one with a piece of gear. And we had actually looked at putting a second pitch up here on whatever that guy's called. It cuts up here to the right and joins right up in their top. It was gorgeous. It's gorgeous climbing. It's just this band right there was super crappy. So we pulled out like a TV size block out of there that looked solid, didn't have very many, like almost nothing, no fracture lines. But we were just sort of yarding on it on a, I guess it's one crack, and it just popped. So all this rock, even if I put a bolt in, you just can't tell if you fall on it. The whole piece could shard out, and then you're right on top of your belayer. So maybe someone will clean it, but I just don't know if it really is cleanable, just the nature of that rock, which is a shame because that's a gorgeous, gorgeous line. You can top rope it right off there with some rope drag and just to work it, and that's what we did. And then here's the ledge that I mentioned. There's that green sheep, or I think that's what it's called. And then I guess I better check to see what the other name of that one is. Oh, right, left, arete was that other one. And then mean solution is this face. So the right, left, arete is just around that corner. And then there's where green sheep tops up, and then there's that mean solution right there. And this diorite is actually really interesting to climb on, as long as it's not the super rotten stuff, and that comes out a lot in the park. Other than that, the other bolted route that you can get that's fully nothing but bolts is just to the left of Beeline, and that's Doozle Day. Oh, I don't actually have any pictures of that one. Let me show you where that is here. There's Mark Zieber on Beeline. So just over here to the left of where that rock is, you'll see the bolts that are pretty obvious up there. There you can see it coming up that arete. Here's the belay anchor for Beeline, and that's a bolt, another bolt without a hanger, and then a pin. So pretty good belay. And then I think right in here is where Doozle's Day belay is, belay bolts. So you can just sort of wander over and then up and be protected off this anchor to get to those to drop a top rope on it. It's not great to top rope just because your rope wants to push you to the right here while the climbing's on the left side of that arete. To the right's too hard. So you normally clip like a directional or just lead it. The bolts are really good, and you can use a piece down here. Not a good route to climb if you've got a sprayer down below because it looks super easy, and then when you're on it, it actually feels a bit bouncy. And then Central Q back here has a couple bolts, but it is definitely more of a head point than a bolted route. There's some mandatory thin pieces of gear up top, so you want to be super solid on that stuff. Oh, there you can just see Doozle Day coming right up there, and that's the crux point. Really well protected. You get a bolt right at the lip where it's awkward, and then one more that you clip, and then it stays. A little bit interesting for that next move. Let me see if I can show you the bottom of that route. In here, there's a couple of climbs. There we go. Here's the one you'll see. So this route right here that just goes up this crack is a gear route. I think sometime we need to put a bolt in there and then protect this area a little bit better. I think Paul Sloan and Craig Albright had done these, as I'm sure other people had. Paul had explored this area quite a bit back in the 80s. So here's the bolts for Doozle Day. It's right up here where the awkward bulge is. You really can't miss that. Other than that, that is it for bolted routes. So basically on the hump, you get Doozle Day right here, and then you get Mother's Day and Burley Bear. Great climbs, 5.4. Doozle Days, 5.8, 5.9, something like that. And then you get these two climbs here, which are 5.8. And I think you'll need a couple pieces of gear. So I wouldn't trust those if you don't have any gear. And then just down here to the right, you'll get those right, left, arete, which is sort of 5.8, I think. You can see what the guidebook says. Uh, but that's a nice climb. And that is it for fully bolted routes off the park. There's a few more routes that tend to be a bit more sport-like up here. Whiteish is right there. That's just got one bolt, but it's definitely not fully bolted. And then Lime Street is again mixed with a bolt. So that's it for the park.